What's going on, everybody? This is Listen for Commands. It is Sunday, December 1st. I'm about to go live with Ryan Jordan, also known as the Hafferton. I'm going to invite him into this right now. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. I think we met just briefly at Wayland's, I think.
Wayland's like Halloween party, yeah.
Yes, yeah. That was an exhausting day because we did a meet right before then at Lockout. So, yeah, I'm actually going to his new facility today. I haven't been there yet. I'm super excited. Have you been yet?
I have not. I potentially may be coming up this weekend, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. And
So if I do, it'll be
you're in
Friday.
Kentucky, right?
Uh, Southern Indiana, but I'm pretty much in Louisville, so basically.
Okay, yeah. Because he just mentioned Kentucky as like a broad. I think he uses that as a broad. Like
Pretty much.
I live in Naperville, so like Chicago,
Gotcha.
right? The same thing. Well, awesome. Glad to have you on. I'm excited that you're doing my meet in March. So I'm like, that's really cool. But we're gonna start with the basic questions. So I guess right off the bat, like, what got you into lifting, and then specifically powerlifting? Like, what did that look like?
So I've been lifting, like strength training in general I was like thinking about this the other day, 18 years since. So I started in sixth grade when I first started playing sports. So back then it was literally just sports specific, like football, wrestling, and track. And then I kind of just stuck with it after my college days of football. Uh, but I really didn't get into powerlifting until one of my friends here said, "Hey, you should do this powerlifting meet." And I was like, I don't know what powerlifting is, but we're just gonna, I guess, train for it and do it. And that was like just before COVID happened in 2020.
Yeah.
So,
So I obviously I scout everyone before I interview them, and I'm looking at your open powerlifting. So you started doing RPS. I'm guessing that's just what was locally available.
yep, that was the only local meets around. I didn't know anything about like USA, USPA, things like that.
That's honestly probably for the better in some in some respects. Not getting into the drama story, but you had some good numbers. I mean, for a first meet, I mean, 589 squat, 496 bench. I'm guessing the team sports athletes bench is always the strong suit, right?
Yeah,
Because that's what you play football. I'm guessing.
pretty much.
So I have a sports background too. So like I'm like when I see a big bench, I'm like,
Uh-huh.
oh, they play football. It's like always they play football.
Yep. I don't
Uh,
think I don't think I would have had that big of a bench then if I didn't tear my ACL in 2015. Because all I could do for like a year and a
okay,
half was
right.
upper body.
So it's so funny. We had James Faraghi on the podcast, and he's got the IPF world record in the bench,
Hmm.
and he does like 6 sets of like 10 to 12 for his
Sure.
workouts with like 500. And so it was so funny because it's just a principle of frequency. The more often you do anything, the better you get at it. So
Right.
when I hear that you got hurt, it's like, oh yeah, no wonder he got good at bench. He was just doing it all the time.
That's all I literally could do is upper body.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so then you've just been competing. It looks like you've got a pretty consistent competing schedule. You competed 3 times in 2020. Oh, you must have really got the bug to compete 3 times in nothing else to do, COVID, right?
Yeah, starting off, it was like beginning, middle, and end of the year. I was like, I'm just gonna compete, and then after like a year or two under my belt, I was like, I probably shouldn't do this more than 3 times a year.
Right. Yeah. You kind of got the bug, and then two comps in 2022, and then 2020 or 2021, 2022, 2023, straight from the RPS to the WRPF to the American Pro. No less than that.
Right. The original plan was to do the Ghost that year, the year of the American Pro 2, but registration already closed, and I was literally at work, so I couldn't register for it. So I was like, I kind of want to do like like a big meet as my next one. So the American Pro was the next best thing.
Yeah, that was cool. So you were in there's like amateur day. You were in like that amateur day, or how did that?
Uh, they just so that year they had just added the tested day on
Okay.
Friday.
And then you did it looks like a Michael Marino meet in early this
Yeah,
year
this past
in May.
May.
then when did the American Pro
Yeah.
again? Okay, so now let me go back to my question. I don't want to skip anything. And that's obviously told people how long you've been competing. You've been competing for 4 or 5 years. What are your future plans? Now I kind of already teased that you're doing one of my meets, but what does the future hold for you?
I mean, the future is uncertain. I mean, what I would ideally like is to obviously excel in PLA, hopefully earn a spot into the IPF. I just have to get used to re-walking out my squats and deadlifting on a stiff bar, which I have not done in years. But I guess, I mean, the main goal is like earning an invite to Sheffield, IPF Worlds, things like that, kind of being on a bigger platform with more competition in a federation that, cares more about actual tested athletes versus some of these other feds where they have like tested days, but not they don't necessarily, I would say, care about the tested side. If that
Right
makes
there, I
sense.
mean, it's so like PLU actually, believe it or not, does more total
Uh-huh.
testing than the IPF, and I'm an IPF affiliate, so I can say whatever I want.
Right.
They do more quantity of testing, but their bread and butter is the untested
Yeah.
side. Like that's where all the that's where they actually have somewhat of a quote monopoly on. Like they
Right.
can like no one untested is or no one tested is going to PLU. That's for untested. It's for that niche of
Right.
content. So yeah, you're right. You're actually one of the unique people because you have people who, I mean, once you go untested, you don't go back, right?
No,
But there
you
aren't
can't.
a lot of people who start tested on that side and then come over to this one
Right.
as much as there used to be.
Hmm.
It's definitely a new thing, and actually I love it because there's been a bit more of an entertainment flair on the untested side that
Hmm.
was there. And like Debo Flex, he came and did one of my meets, and he was a tested PLU or guy who came over, and it's like it was just a little more flair.
Yeah.
There's a little more
'Cause
excitement. It's just where like sometimes USAPL can be a little and IPF can be a little more sterile.
yeah, 'cause
So that was really cool.
I think he switched over after the American Pro last year.
Yes. Yeah. And then he did my pro duel, which is my team meet, and then he went and did Nats. So that's awesome. So yeah, I mean, are you gonna do? I'm guessing are you not gonna do Nats this year? You're aiming to go next year, or
When I talked to my coach, he made it seem like we were going to that was going to be this year. But I looked at it, I was like, Nationals is literally like a month after this meet, so it's probably not the best idea. So, but he was meeting next year in 2026.
yeah,
So,
that's interesting. So I mean, what I would recommend, my unsolicited advice is I would do. Obviously, you're gonna do my meet, but then I would go to Nats no matter what, and then
uh-huh.
I would just enjoy that experience, get the travel. It's in Atlanta. It's right by the airport. It's going to be
Right.
a more affordable one. So I recommend everyone if there's a nationals to go to, this is the one to compete. Because what you do is you'll probably make prime time too. So that would be really
Hmm.
cool. You go to Nats, you compete in the morning or whatever, and then you get to watch all the best lifters in the world at night. So
Right.
I'm like, as far as experience goes, Atlanta's a great city. There's tons to do. Um, I really recommend everyone. And I think you'd be a 105, right?
Yeah, 105.
It's kind of wide open. Um, let me I'll pull
Your
it up.
boy does not want to cut any more weight.
No. And then it's a big jump from 105 to 120. And those are some big dogs. I'm looking at the open nationals because I think 105 might be a little more wide open.
Yeah, because I think the tentative game plan, because we talked about it a little bit more in depth after he clarified that he was referring to next year nationals,
Oh,
doing
okay.
a meet, and then potentially the Illinois State Champions in June. I think it's in
Yes, the
June.
Illinois State Championship is the
Yeah.
money meet. The first place lifter won $1,800 last year, and this year, actually, here I'll just spoil it. Here I have the payouts. Wait, hold on. I can't close the stream. I
'Cause
believe actually I'm not.
I seen the story said something, but as of right now, it's like collectively it was like 15,000.
So that's the projection. If we just do what we did last year, that'll be what it
Right.
is. So how I do it is I do a standard entry of like 150, and I put all the entries back into the prize pool. So
Gotcha.
if we have like 108, so we can have a max of in one day I can process 108 lifters. So that means the max prize pool is more than 15 grand. The max prize pool is like 16 grand, and then I'm gonna jump out for 2 seconds.
Yep.
First prize is going to be if it sells out, which I would hope it sells out. First prize will be 3,200 actually. Second place will be 1,900. Then 1,300 and 1,000. That's all what I've projected so far. So it'll be almost double what it was last year. So we're shifting more of the money towards the top 5,
right,
as opposed to what we did last year, where more of the money went to the weight class winners. And we're still going to do that too. So actually, you could win. You're going to win if you win first overall. You win your weight class. You're going to win some money there too. So it's even more than that. But I'm super excited. I'm doing some crazy shit. So the whole plan is to do 2 sessions and 2 platforms in the morning, prime time at night, and then the entire day we're going to have a tailgate outside. So we're going to have food trucks. We're going to have a beer truck. We're going to have live music. We're going to have yard games. We're going to do like a whole thing. I'm going to invite all my gym members. It's going to be, you've never been to MPG. You got to stop by. So we're a massive facility, massive. We have an entire gym open during the meet. We have an entire stage and everything. And then we'll have all that stuff will be outside in the parking lot. So I'm super excited just to make it a really big spectator thing. All the athletes that lift in the morning come and watch at night. All the athletes that register are going to get free standing room tickets, so they can come and support. So it's going to be one hell of an experience. And I don't want to talk too much about it because I want to keep interviewing you. But it's going to be something really cool. So if you do that, and both of them, it'll be a nice little mix. But yeah. Anyway, so I was going to pull up the national roster, see if I can scout your competition.
Yeah, because this side is completely new to me, so I haven't done too much research that other than the big lifters like Ashton and things like that.
Right, and so that's what's interesting because Ashton, I literally heard it from his mouth actually when I was at last year's nationals. Basically, he says that he's probably going to do Sheffield, or he's definitely going to do Sheffield. Then there's no reason for him to do Nats or Worlds because he's just going to go do World Games and then he's going to be done.
Right.
So it's very, very, very interesting for that reason. So you the 105s you have. Wow, oh my God, there's a lot. I don't recognize many. You have Benjamin Lawrence, who's Amanda Lawrence's brother.
Gotcha.
I've met him. I recognize no one on here.
This is for nationals?
This is for PA Nationals. So it may be very well. I know there's got to be some people who haven't. I got to imagine, I don't know where JJ Falk might be at 140. But yeah, might be something to consider because you could go to NAPF and get a world singlet. You could potentially go to Worlds if you're within 95% of the world record.
Right.
So there's something there.
So
I'll probably talk to him today. Maybe we'll see. Because that would be. I also think people should just do Nats just because it's fun. It's just a good. It's just a good time. I mean, into the good you don't always get good locations. Like last year was in Reno, which was actually kind of cute, but nothing like Atlanta, like the world's 3rd largest aquarium, the Coca-Cola Museum. There's so many things to do.
So much to do.
Yeah. But yeah. So how is training going? Is it more traditional type training or anything kind of unique you do or?
Yeah, more traditional. So we're on block of 4 right now, pretty much on everything. A lot of it's ascending except for squats. Just because my I only squat once a week just because of my lower back. And so we're pretty much the first, technically the first block is getting used to walking out my squats because I've only been on a mono since RPS. And then getting used to a stiff bar.
So
Because the way I used to train when I was first starting on RPS, the people that I trained with, they did conjugate and West Side method. So my body was wrecked the entire time during training, during prep, after meet. It was rough. And then I switched to, my coach now, Waylon, and my body doesn't feel trashed at all. I feel almost perfect all the time.
Yeah. So what's funny about that is that'll toughen you up because it'll make this kind of training just way easier.
Yes.
So,
For sure.
so despite how bad it would have been, it gives you kind of, I don't know if gratitude's the right word, but it kind of just makes you it's like it's like going through all that suffering and then coming out on the other side, you're like, oh, this is so easy, and it just makes it a lot easier. It's like when you go from playing a real sport, not the power, it's not a real sport, but when you go from like playing football where you're doing 2-a-days and you're practicing for 2 hours, and you go to powerlifting, which is a lot slower pace and it's different. It just makes it easier to transition. Like a lot of guys who started in bodybuilding,
Right.
bodybuilding's a lot more volume, and then they get to powerlifting, it's just a little easier. So yeah, that's awesome. Let me go back to my.
But overall, I'd say training's going okay. We may make a switch to conventional. We don't know yet. Depends on how my body reacts.
Like a real man.
How God intended.
Oh God intended.
We'll
I
see.
did get in trouble. So I MC meets. I got in trouble because there was one platform was equipped and one platform was raw. And I go, and now we're over to platform 1 where we have the raw lifters, just as God intended. They don't. They're not happy.
Oh no.
They're not happy at all.
I mean, equipped lifting it's a whole different ball game because like when I did the conjugate stuff, we would do like our overload days on bench in a bench shirt that somehow fit me, even though he was much larger than me. So like if you don't have really good bench technique and form, that shirt will just fold you.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's so
totally
funny.
different ball game.
So like people don't realize like face savers. Like people are like, why do you need face savers? Like you have like 3 spotters on bench, blah blah blah. You've never seen equipped, and you've never seen someone lose a bench on equipped. You're like, oh, that's why those are there. Like it just makes more sense because I always wondered that, and then I saw equipped for the first time. I saw equipped lifter lose it, and yeah, it's just a different sport. It's more technical. It's not like it's still strength based, but it's not as strength based.
Right.
That's funny. And that's good. It's just a lot of people don't have context of the broader picture of powerlifting. Like no one, a lot of guys at 5W are probably, they're all like IPF and USAPL guys. They've never seen anything equipped ever. So like that's like a whole new world. And what's actually funny is the MPG Madness meet. It's kind of a little troll job. So basically, anyone who enters the equipped category and wins best lifter, because the equipped category actually give you a debuff because of how the formulas work.
Didn't you say you were going to pay him $500 out of your pocket?
Extra $500
I think I remember seeing that.
if they can win equipped. It's not going to happen. No one's going to be able to win equipped unless you decide to suddenly put on a bench shirt. Couple other lifters are going to be a couple high level lifters. Like it's going to be super. It's going to become super competitive out of nowhere once everyone jumps in. I'm really excited for that one. We're probably going to do a primetime session too.
Nice.
And I'm going to experiment with some of that tailgate stuff as well. So it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think I got kind of most of the stuff I wanted to talk about. But we are going to introduce you to the favorite segment on the show, r/powerlifting. Have you heard of r/powerlifting?
I have not.
So it's how we finish every show. So I go on the Reddit thread, and I'm going to read you the top 3 threads, and you're going to pick which one we're going to talk about. So It could be something serious. It could be something ridiculous. I forgot which one we talked about one time, but it was some guy was asking, his daughter was getting into powerlifting, was asking about what proper equipment to get, and the thread was just hilarious with the people like telling him what equipment to buy for his 13-year-old daughter. So this is a good one. 2 Sheffields in 2016. So I don't know if you hear anything about how they're doing.
I think I've seen that.
So, broad context, the IPF is switching to a unified schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is that every federation, like every powerlifting in America, all of them, will have their nationals in the same time period.
Mm-hmm.
So then they'll have worlds. Worlds will be at its normal time in the summer, and then they have to move Sheffield because Sheffield was interfering with all the nationals.
Gotcha.
And so, like, they had to make different criterias, and it was just an absolute mess. And it's really bad for the local feds because, like, Powerlifting America, they let Jesus not compete at nationals because of Sheffield, and it's like that's like Simone Biles not going to the U.S. Olympic trials.
Right.
It's just not good for the federations. So what they're doing is instead of doing Sheffield in February, January, skipping all the way till November of next year, they're doing a second one in the same calendar year, which I think is great because I don't think there's enough meets.
Right.
And there's not enough content. Yeah, I don't. Do you have any thoughts about that? Is it just more entertainment? What do you think?
It really depends on, I guess, how they're going to split it between the people who get invited to Sheffield. Because I feel like a lot of people train, year round for that one specific Sheffield meet, and now there's 2 of them.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
I'm guessing this is how it's going to go. So
because then
2025 is already set.
split up a head to head if there's a head to head there.
No. So it's 2 of them.
Gotcha.
So here, they're not split. So I'll kind of walk through how it's going to work. So 2025 Sheffield's already set. Those people are going to compete. Then you have the national season.
Mm-hmm.
So like Powerlifting America Nationals coming up. Anyone who wins between Powerlifting America Nationals and Sheffield goes to Worlds. Worlds is in June. Then you have the World Games in August. The World Games is just those people have already qualified. So that's kind of like a bonus thing, I'm guessing. Then those people between Worlds, I'm guessing they might qualify people from World Games as well. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Those people are going to qualify for Sheffield 1 in 2026. Right. Then they're going to take people from Worlds in 2026 and put them in Sheffield 2 of 2026. So everything's about Worlds 2. Worlds in 2026, not Worlds 2. Worlds in 2026.
Gotcha.
So that's interesting. Yes, and then it goes back to a more normal schedule.
Interesting.
It will be very interesting, and we'll see. We'll see how that all goes. Now, I don't know if you know too much about my background. I'm the teams and powerlifting guy. I think the individual side of powerlifting is not a long-term commercially viable thing.
Yeah.
Because individuals, this is going to sound horrible, but individuals can't be owned, but teams can be.
Yeah.
So if you're an investor, you can purchase a team and you can pour money into the sport. Where an individual sport, you just can't. It's an economic.
You can't invest in each and every single person that in powerlifting.
Right. It just doesn't it does. I mean, you see it with live golf. Like golf is the individual sport, but even golf is moving towards teams. Like live golf is all about teams,
right?
And these guys are being paid hundreds of millions of dollars to go to live. I mean, if I always talk about how powerlifting can just do a little fraction of that.
Yep.
I think everyone would be very happy. Like we just need to do
much happier.
Yes. But yeah, I think that's the future there. So I don't know where that all is going to lie in this. But I do think there are opportunities to do more with the sport, for sure, on that accord. See if there's anything else saucy in here. Okay, we're gonna cover Jawan Garrison on my Wednesday podcast. I'm not gonna throw that landmine at you.
Good old Jawan.
Oh yeah. Well, don't just stay off Instagram. Some people need to stay off Instagram. All right. Anyway, on that note, if there's not anything else you want to talk about, this was great. I appreciate having you on.
Appreciate you having me.
Kind of previewing a couple things. This podcast will be out on all platforms once the producer cuts it up, and look forward to seeing you when you're in town.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too. Thank